The webinar is now live, I'm being told. Welcome everybody to Whale Whisperers Day 2 and Virtual Whale Watch number 2 as well of our week. And I'm super excited to introduce to you all Rodrigo Martinez Catalan, who is based up in Iceland. Now, Rodrigo and I go back a few years. Rodrigo is an individual partner with the WCA and has been through the physical, not the online that we have now, but the physical version of our Responsible Whale Watching Guides course about 4 years ago. We got the chance to meet, and since then has gone on to work with a number of our WCA Whale Watch partners and develop his guiding career. And Rodrigo, welcome. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too, Dila. Thank you for the introduction and the welcome.
Absolute pleasure, and you know, I'm really excited to virtually visit Iceland today. So thank you for making that possible for us.
No problem. And now Iceland is in the top destination, not only because of the whales, also because of this volcano that has a lot of eruption news sites every day. So I guess that Iceland is going to be a hot spot very soon.
Oh wow, literally a hot spot. Wow. Amazing. Is that volcano erupting more and more?
It has its days. It's the lava front, I think, is advancing 1 meter per day, but it seems to be kind of steady. And yeah, it keeps on going. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks, and it just keeps going.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, Rodrigo, tell us a bit about your before we start the virtual whale watch. Tell us a little bit about your experience, maybe going back to the time when we first met and you did the Responsible Whale Watching Guides course, and how useful that was, and what you've gone on to do since then.
Well, my experience, I mean, I'm from Spain. That's this funny accent is coming from. And I got a job with Aldin Whale Watching, one of the partners of WCA. That's where I started to know about the World Citation Alliance. And then it was perfect timing. I ended the summer season, and then I saw this physical course, Responsible Whale Watching Guide. And I thought it was perfect to follow all these standards and all the messages that the World Citation Alliance is trying to spread around the world. And I went all the way down to Brighton, and I met you there and another wonderful people from the World Citation Alliance. I learned a lot, and here I am 4 or 5 years later, and I think it was very, very powerful experience. And a good proof of that is that I kept going in the whale watching industry for a few years. So yeah, here we are.
Fantastic. And how did your journey take you to Iceland, and what's it been like living there?
Well, it's been kind of interesting. You have your days here in Iceland, of course. It was very, very random. Finish university, trying to decide what to do with life, and then I end up in Iceland. I have the opportunity to work with Eldin, and from there, I've been traveling to South Africa, to Argentina, thanks to the WCA. And Iceland is, of course, it's cold, it's challenging, but it's really beautiful because the weather changes so much, so fast. The landscape is so amazing. And you have that kind of sense of freedom and connection with the wilderness, with nature. That's a feeling that I never had that root in Spain when I was growing. So I think it's a really nice place to live if you have good jackets.
Good jackets and an incredible selection of whales and dolphins. I mean, it has to be one of the best places on the planet.
It is. I mean, it's really, really nice. Of course, we don't have all the species in the world, but the ones we have are really amazing. And depending on the time of the year that you are, you can see one thing or another. Of course, Iceland is a feeding ground. Most of the sightings are in summer, but in winter you can see also a lot of stuff. Like the other day, there was a beluga in the Reykjavik harbor. So northern bottlenose whales have been seen as well in the harbor, humpbacks, blue whales, fin whales, you name it. So it's really amazing, and you never know what you're gonna see when you are going out.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, the virtual whale watch that you've got for us today is not perhaps what people would normally think of when they think about whale watching. I personally always imagine myself on a boat sailing away somewhere on the ocean, but this is a land-based whale watch that you're going to show us today, which I think is great because people forget that probably based on our studies, probably about a third of the world's whale watching actually is from land. There are some amazing places around our planet where you can see whale migration and see whales close to shore. And that's what you're going to show us today, some of the possibilities from land where you live.
Exactly, and that was pretty much by accident, just walking around the coast, just trying to let your thoughts go. And then you start to see blows, you start to see splashes, you start to see things. It's like, what's going on? You can see a lot of stuff. And where we are here in Vestmann in the south of Iceland is perfect outpost for that, because you can have mountains that are 200-300 meters high over the ocean. And if you have a calm day, you can see 20-30 kilometers far. So that's a good opportunity to scan the ocean and do what you like the most, which is watching whales.
So it's incredible. It's an incredible area to be able to cover. You can never do that from a small vessel, that's for sure.
No.
That sounds fantastic. So without further ado, then I'll hand over to you, Rodrigo, to begin the virtual whale watch. For all of those who are joining us, enjoy the trip. We will have a debrief after Rodrigo's shown the video, so please do post your questions and we will get to those at the end of the session. Over to you, Rodrigo.
All right, so let's see if I can do this correctly. All right, can you see the video?
Looks good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna press play and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Rodrigo. I'm a naturalist from Spain. I'm also an individual partner with the World Cetacean Alliance. Since 2017, I've been working as a guide and also collaborating with different partners that the WCA has around the world. I started my career as a guide in Eldin in Iceland, then I've been also in South Africa with Rocky Charter and also in Argentina with Botats. But today I want to bring you a new experience, at least for me. And it's because all my previous experience have been based on boats, on vessels. But since last September, I moved to the south of Iceland, to Vestmanneyjar, a very small and tiny archipelago. And I discovered that there are a lot of things going on here in this remote island in the middle of the North Atlantic. Vestmanneyjar is well known because of the volcanic eruption in 1973, where they had to evacuate the entire island. But also we have the biggest colony of Atlantic puffins in the world. More than 1 million breeding pairs are coming here every year. We also have a lot of fulmars, and a lot of marine life, like these seals that you can see now, the harbor seal and the gray seal. And since 2019, we are hosting as well the first Beluga Marine Sanctuary. A very good initiative trying to remove animals from captivity and give them a chance in a semi-natural environment. But now I want to explain you what really like about this place is that you can do land-based whale watching. So join me in this adventure and let's see what we can find out there. So we drove to the south of the island where we have the lighthouse of Storhofdi, and this is a very good place to look for whales because it's one of the highest points in the island, and we have almost 360 degrees view around the archipelago, so we can cover a lot of space and a lot of surface. Hopefully we can see some whales. What I have with me is the scope. Sometimes we can use it, a couple of tripods, binoculars, more tripods, the camera, and of course a lot of clothing because we are in Iceland and Iceland is always cold. So let's see what we can find. Hello again. So we are in one of my favorite places by far. This is the south of Storhofdi, the very end of the main island. But you can also see the rest of the island that we have in the archipelago. And there at the very end, you can see Sursey, which was the island that was formed in 1963 eruption. We are gonna set up the camp here, set all the equipment, and try to see if we can find some whales or dolphins, some signs of blows or splashes that might indicate us that there is something going on in the ocean. So now we have scope, the camera with the lens, binoculars, and it's just the game of patience. So let's scan the ocean and let's see what we can find out there. Okay, I think we have a group of orcas just down the cliff, so let's go and check them out. Whew, what an encounter, right? So this spot of orca was something amazing to see. That they are not coming that close to the cliff that often, so we were really lucky to see them so close. What is interesting about orcas in Iceland, and especially here in Vestmanneyjar, is that they are specialized in herring, a little schooling fish. So they are mostly eating herring. So that's why, for example, we can see them very often in Vestmann around June, July, even August sometimes, is when they are coming to feed on herring. You can see large aggregation, 30, 40 orcas, and all of them are organized in pods of around 4, 5, 6 individuals that they usually keep together during the time. What is interesting about orcas as well is that we can photo identify them. We've been doing that since the 70s. So the dorsal fin that you could see in some of them, it's very recognizable. Some of them they have marked. The males, they have this long dorsal fin that can be up to 2 meters. And also the saddle patch, this white patch that they have behind the dorsal fin, in each orca is different, and the one that you have seen right now, they are very recognizable. They are well-known orcas that have been seen for many years during in Vestmanneyjar during the research conducted during the summer, but this year was the first time that we could see them during the winter time, so it's big news here. Also, they have this crook shape in the dorsal fin, so we've been able, or thanks to the Icelandic Orca project and Filipa Samara, they've been able to identify that as the group of Scully and Mulder. So we are very happy that were able to share this encounter with you guys. Okay, so watching whales from land is not only about being in a high lookout, trying to set up your whole cam with the scope and the binoculars and the big cameras we have seen before. It's also about a bit of luck. I was just driving around in the northeast of the island where we have the entrance of the harbor that is just right here behind me. And just in front of the island of Edley and Vestmanneyjar that I'm gonna show you now, I think I spot some splashes, so I'm very suspicious because when you see a lot of splashes, that only means that we have a big pod of dolphins, so let's check them out. Oof. So we were super lucky because we witnessed what is called a mega pod of white big dolphins. Usually the pod size of the dolphins in this area is around 4-6 individual. If you go to the north of Iceland, probably it's gonna be even bigger, but seeing a large aggregation of white big dolphins is like hitting the jackpot. It's not very common, so I'm very lucky that we were able to see them around the island, just swimming around, mingling with, for example, this humpback whale that was seen in the drone footage. So I think that was a really nice experience from land. Well, we have seen that in order to have a good land-based whale watching experience, you need to be in a high lookout, you need to have some sort of equipment. Binoculars are always key. If you have a scope or a camera with a telelens so you can record everything that you see, is even better. Also, you need a lot of patience because land-based whale watching is not happening just because you have to scan the ocean thoroughly. And of course, you need to have a lot of luck and a good sniffing dog that can find whales for you. but there is nothing like having good friends because no man is an island. So in order to maximize your chances to have a good land-based whale watching experience, it's always good to have a network of enthusiastic people that they also care about whales, that they also like to see whales, and of course people that maybe they don't know that whales are around, so you can try to engage them and they can report sightings for you. That's what we are doing here in Vestmanneyjar. We have a small citizen science project going on. It's called Valid vir Vestmanneyjar, or Whales of Vestmanneyjar. And what we are trying to do is try to gather together all these people who are always going for walks, or just people with dogs that may be walking by the coast. And they are the people who are key for this project, because they can see things that we might not see or we might miss because we are in the other side of the island, we are just having lunch, or we are just working. So what we are doing is pretty much trying to let each other know when and where whales or dolphins are. So let me show you how it works so you can get a good taste of our small citizen science project.
Eva, 1 o'clock, over there. I think it's a humpback.
So thanks to all these sightings that people are reporting anonymously, we can see sightings like the one that you have seen right now with humpback whales really close to the coast. Some people coming with the drones, they are giving us a really nice perspective of all these animals that are approaching so much to the cliffs, to the coast, and otherwise we wouldn't be able to witness these magnificent animals. And also we are getting a lot of interesting results, like the orcas that we have seen before with these sightings from winter. Also we have other sightings that are shared with the research centers, with HAFRO, with the Icelandic Orca project. So in that way, thanks to the local community, we can engage more people and we can increase the knowledge that we have about whales and dolphins around our coast. So after an entire day doing whale watching from land, it's time to come back home to wrap up everything, take all the equipment, and return to your houses. When you're coming home, of course, you still have the opportunity to keep going with the things that you have seen. For example, what I'm doing is trying to check with my camera if I have gotten any picture of a fluke from a humpback whale, so I can send it to Hafro, the Marine Research Institute here in Iceland, or even I can upload these pictures to Happy Whale, which is also a partner from the World Cetacean Alliance. And I also try to get in contact with the researchers that might be interested in some photos, so we can increase the knowledge that we have of cetacean. And of course, share, because sharing is caring, and the more people know about the things that we are doing, the better it's gonna be for these animals. So I'm gonna show you now what I'm doing with all the data that we are gathering with this little citizen science project with whale watching based on land. When I'm coming home, I'm always trying to keep track on all the sightings that people have been reported in the citizen science project, in the whale group. Date, coordinates, species, number of individuals, behaviors, and also some notes that might be interesting. Maybe there is some strange behavior going on. Since we started back in October, but more thoroughly in December, middle of December, we have had pretty much one sighting every 3 days, which is the average time that we have between storms, more or less, in winter. And so all these blue lines represent sightings through this temporal line from December till now in April. And we have seen a lot of different species. The main species has been the humpback whale. We have seen also white-beaked dolphins, harbor porpoises, minkies are just back right now, orcas, and surprisingly fin whale, because we are very close to the continental shelf in the east side of the island, so we are even able to see large baleen whales. All these sightings, we try to put them in a map, so people, when they are walking around, they can more or less know where to look at, so they just need to go to this map and check what's going on. And we usually share all the news regarding the recent sighting that we have in the island in this Facebook group, Valley Vestmanneyjar. And also, of course, if there are some interesting things going on, like a beluga the other day in the Reykjavik harbor, or a Kubierspik whale stranded in the south of Iceland, we try to share so people can get more knowledge of the whales that we have out there. Well, that will be all for my part. I really hope that you enjoyed this small land-based whale watching from Vestmanneyjar from Iceland. I hope that you learned something. And of course, you can do exactly the same wherever you are. Try to get in contact with the organization that are already working with cetacean, or even create a network by yourself. In that way, you can become a better, responsible whale watcher and share the knowledge, spread all the enthusiasm that we have for whales, engage the community, and in that way, we for sure will protect our oceans much better. Thank you very much. Tack för Bless, bless.
Okay.
Wonderful, Rodrigo. I love that. That was so much fun. And thank you so much for doing it. It was great. I mean, you've got some stunning footage, and it's an angle that we don't often get, that sort of looking down on the animals from high up on a cliff or from a drone. And this is where you really get to see, the full immensity, really, the size of these animals, and see them in their full glory. So that was an absolute joy.
Yeah, I mean, some days was simply amazing, because it was like not need to use a drone, because the whales are just under you, 200 meters, 100 meters down, and you can see the orcas with the calves moving around, humpbacks feeding. Of course, it's not happening every day, I wish, but the days that these things are happening, you feel very, very special and very lucky to be the place where we are.
Oh, definitely. What a special place. That's fantastic. Now, I know you wanted to show us another short video. Before we do that, I have to pass on a message from Carolyn Roosevelt. She says, kudos. I love that your approach is non-invasive wildlife viewing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not invasive at all, of course. But yeah, sometimes I wish I could be there down in the water. I think I pushed a little bit back in December, because we start to see all these whales and things like that happening, and it was very surprising. And of course, at some point, if you want to have research result or you want to, get the photo of the fluke or whatever, uh, thanks to the scientists that we have in the island, they managed to get some money and we go on a boat trip at the end of December. It was a good way to end the year and we could witness these animals a little bit closer. But the land-based experience is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. That sounds great. So for those people who enjoyed Rodrigo's amazing Icelandic whale watch experience, please do post your questions on the Q&A. But I think, Rodrigo, you wanted to show us another just short video, is that right?
Yeah, I want to share with you the behind the scenes videos because this looks wonderful, but there's been a lot of days trying to record this video. So let's see if I can show you this. Yeah, there you go. Stereo sound, perfect. There you go.
Watching adventures. Oh, fucking hell. So you see that in the excitings, their enthusiasts. That's something that we have here in Vestmanneyjar. Max.
Look! Over there! Emma, over there! Look! 3 o'clock!
That was it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's just the other day we had the puffins coming back and we were super excited. Yeah, it was just a good moment for that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And your dog does deserve a mention here because it looks like a top spotter and it is a very cute dog.
Yeah, well, Max has his moments. Sometimes he's bothering more than helping. Especially, I remember once I was just letting him loose, and I was watching like a couple of fin whales really far in the distance. I was trying to capture that to be sure that it was 100% sur fin whales, and he just kept coming to me, trying to get my attention, make me play with him. So it was kind of difficult to record the fin whales with the dog.
Yeah, I can imagine. There have been some trained, I'm sure you're aware of it, there have been some dogs trained in, I think it was the Pacific coast of Canada to do research on orcas where they're trained to smell the orca poo. Maybe this could be your next step in research in Iceland.
Yeah, definitely I should train Max to do something like that. I know that, for example, in Breiðafjörður with Lauki Tours, one of the guides is trying to train a dog for that, an Icelandic dog. I don't know if he's been successful or not, but sometimes you can see the dog on the boat and that's always cute to see.
Fantastic. Now we've got a question coming from Sophie, which is just asking about your drones. How far can the drones travel out across the ocean and to get the footage that you need?
So this drone footage is coming from Matthew and Thomas. Both of them, I think they have the same model of drone, and I think it can travel 5 or 6 kilometers. But of course, you have to be very, very careful because sometimes you are losing the signal and the drone flies away or stay there in the spot and you lose the drone. But yeah, 5-6 kilometers can do that. But usually the whales, when they are recording that with the drone, they are a little bit closer, usually less than a mile, because otherwise it's really hard for the pilot to try to triangulate and try to put the drone exactly where the whale is.
Absolutely awesome. And I know from my own experience that even if the animals are a long way away, taking video footage and taking photographs, still images is so important because often the encounters can be quite brief or that you can't see that detail, but by being able to in the luxury of your own home go back through those images, back through the video, you often learn so much more, don't you?
Yeah, like for example, one of the footage for the humpback whale, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, look at this pair of humpback whales. But then you realize that when it's going for a dive, it's making poop because you can see all these brownies around the tail. And that's something that maybe you haven't realized in the first instant, and that's also very interesting to see what's going on with this well. So yeah, it's always good to have this new perspective that thanks to this commercial drone that we can use now, we can approach the whales, of course, trying to keep the distance, trying not to bother them and so on, and being responsible. But yeah, it's amazing what you can get with drones nowadays.
Fantastic. In the time that you've been watching these animals from land, what would you say, what was the most sort of surprising thing that you've come across?
Okay, you're gonna kill me with this, but one night I was photographing Northern Lights, and I could hear the humbugs because I was in the coast, and I could hear the humbugs just 10 meters away from me. And I was trying to record the humbug and the Northern Light together, and I mean, the only thing I could get, it was like a blurry thingy. But that was a very special and powerful moment, just in the middle of the night, you are just alone and try not to die because it's cold, but photographing Northern Lights and hearing this great animal just breathing just so close to you, it was something out of this world, to be honest.
Oh, you're making us jealous now. That's incredible. Was that during the winter time?
Yeah, I think it was in January, if I could remember, January, February, maybe. Yeah.
Wow. And I guess at that time of year, it must be dark for, what are we looking at? A lot of the time.
So January is usually between 4-6 hours of daylight, more or less. And also the thing is that if you want to photograph Northern Lights here in the south of Iceland, it's usually very cloudy. So maybe we have like 3-4 days a month. So that day the planets were aligned. It was the perfect condition, no wind, no clouds, and humbugs to the coast. I think I cannot repeat that experience, but yeah, it was really, really powerful.
Incredible. Now, obviously you're up in Iceland. You're very close to the Arctic Circle there. I believe it just touches the top of Iceland somewhere, or just above the main island. And there's a lot of talk about climate change at the moment, a lot of concern about climate change, and we know that in terms of global temperature increases, the poles are suffering much more. The temperature increase is higher. Are you seeing, I know you're working with seabirds and puffins as well, are you seeing the impacts of climate change in Iceland on cetaceans and on seabirds? What's your
I mean, it's hard to say because I'm not an expert, of course, but you can see differences between the north and the south, also with the currents, if it's getting warmer or colder. And there are some years that are more abundant. For example, I know from the puffin population in the south of Iceland, where supposedly the climate change effects are going to be felt first, is declining quite a lot. Very bad numbers. In the north, it's in that it's more or less stable. We don't know how long it's going to stay. Everything is up to the food. Of course, you cannot look at seabirds and whales in a different way because both of them are feeding exactly the same thing. So if the puffin population is declining, others will follow, and the whales also will follow with that. Maybe they will move to the north, but there's going to be a point that they cannot move farther to the north. So yeah, challenging times ahead, to be honest. Yeah.
I guess that's, that is worrying, and we're all worried about these changes and the potential impacts. But it does go to show the importance of gathering the information that you're gathering and your community are gathering this kind of long-term data set.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way we have to prove that the changes are happening, because we might not see that with our short-term vision, or we just don't assume the changes because they are happening very, very slowly till they happen suddenly. So it's very important to have all of this, and of course, share all this information with everybody, because we are in this war and we know all these things, but there are other people that maybe they don't know, or they don't get the message. So we have to make sure that the message is transmitted. That's why it's so important, environmental education. And if we can use whales to get that message through, it's perfect.
That's great. Got a question come in here from Javier, which is really some advice, really. What advice would you give to people who live in other coastal locations in other countries around the world if they wanted to set up a land-based whale or dolphin watching survey like you have? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, talk with locals. Locals especially 70 or above, they have a lot of knowledge because they have seen a lot of things. And something that might be new for you, like for me watching whales from land, it's been happening for many years and they know about that. So as your locals, of course, try to look for a high lookout because it's always better to be higher so you can see better. A good pair of binoculars is always a good help to do that. And if you can try to find a place where you are a little bit covered from the wind, that's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if you're a nature lover or wildlife lover, there are certain contrasts in life, aren't there? Because the wind can be great if you like seabirds and it brings them close to shore, but the calmer, the better for spotting whales and
Exactly. I mean, we have some days here that the sea state was like 7 or 8, it was 120 kilometers per hour wind, and it was horrible. And you could barely stand on the ground, and you could see Hamba just next to the walk to the coast, just like nothing. And it just puts you also in perspective, like how fragile we are compared to these big guys.
Absolutely. Right, we've got a question in from Isabel. She says, "Hey Rodrigo, great video and lovely place to be living. Better than Guadalajara to see marine mammals, right?"
Yeah.
You might know. I love
Yeah.
the Citizen Science Initiative project. Sharing, always sharing. How many people are involved in this project? Is this for the whole of Iceland?
Okay, so well, first of all, thank you, Isabel. I met her during my master in Spain, and yeah, that's true. I was born and was growing in a very far place from coast in the middle of Spain. There are just very tiny rivers, so this is for me a big change, but I do love oceans. And answering your question, we have around 120 people involved in this project, at least in Facebook. And in the Whale Alert group, which is like the instant notification, we are just using Messenger. We probably are like 20. We are always trying to get more locals, especially fishermen or people from the ferry, because they are on the water constantly, so it would be a good input. And we don't have a citizen science project around Iceland, but we have a Facebook group that was made by Tom Grove, a PhD student that is working in Husavik in Skelafandi, or it's like the main place for whale watching in Iceland. And he started a Facebook group for people to this anywhere in Iceland, just randomly, just to check what's going on, apart from the main whale watching areas. And it's been amazing because a lot of people, whale watching guides, fishermen, or people just like me walking on the coast, they've been reporting sightings, and we have sightings from everywhere in Iceland, and you can actually track more or less, at least back last year, or we still have some boats in the water, you can track the migration of the humpback whale because people are starting to report, oh, there are humpback whales in Faxas, like, oh, now they're in Westfjord, oh, now they're in the north of Iceland. So thanks to that, even if it's as basic as Facebook, it's giving a good opportunity, social media, to share all of this and get more people involved.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, and it just goes to show the power of many eyes looking on the ocean, doesn't it?
Exactly, because I have only 2 eyes, and there are a lot of people out there looking, so the better, the merrier.
And just following on from that, I mean, what has been the reaction of the local community where you live to this? Has this been an opportunity for you to meet more people? How have people engaged?
Absolutely, yes. Like, of course, I've been talking with locals. I mainly met people during the Puffling Patrol campaign back in September, with people that already like animals and so on. And they were telling me that it hasn't been as many sightings as this year. Apparently, every 5 years, so 7 years, they have like a peak in sightings. But when I've been building these citizen science projects and trying to get people in contact, I've been talking with, for example, the library, trying to make an online conference or presentation about whales and birds in the island. And I was talking with the director, and he was telling me, like, I've been walking my entire life in this island, and I've never seen as many things as you are saying that you are seeing. So we're going to spread your message, and hopefully we can get more people. And there we go, in the newspaper, in the local newspaper. So now a lot of people can enjoy it, can try to learn more, can get more involved. And that's the aim, that we can get more people together. And even though they are used to these kind of sightings, to see whales from land, we have to let them know that this is extraordinary. This is not happening in many places in the world. So we had to put that into perspective and say like, hey, what we have here is amazing. Let's protect it, let's conserve it, and let's take care of it.
That's absolutely wonderful. I have not a question, but this might be a nice way to end. A message from Hannah. She says, no question, just a comment. Thanks for all of the effort putting the video together for us and the bloopers. Great job. Loved it. I think that might be a nice way to end, Rodrigo. I thank you again so much for putting that together. It really gives us an insight into the life that you're leading there in Iceland. What a beautiful, stunning location for a start, and incredible to see these animals. And I love the fact that you've been able to combine some research with this fascination for cetaceans and engage with the local community. And you know, the reason we're running these Whale Whisperer events is to encourage more people to take our online responsible whale watching guides course. What Rodrigo is doing exactly the kind of thing that we need more of around the world, more researchers, more people engaging with local communities, and just showing them that there is more out there on the ocean than perhaps even people who've lived there for a long time realise. This is a message that we hear repeatedly across the WCA partnership, but it's wonderful work that you're doing, Rodrigo, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
No, thanks to you for hosting me. And I would just like to say that doesn't matter if it's the online or the physical experience with the Responsible Whale Watching Guide course. It opened so many doors for me. I met so many people that I've never imagined to meet. I've been in South Africa with Rocky Charters. I've been in Argentina with Botachi in Peninsula Valdez. I've been here in Iceland. So you never know. So maybe this course is a really great opportunity, not only to learn, but also to meet new people, new realities. So don't doubt it and just take it.
Absolutely. As the pandemic finally hopefully fades away and we can all travel again, there are so many opportunities, and this is a time where we need as many advocates for marine conservation as possible. Thanks, Rodrigo. Take care, and we will see you hopefully later this week on Whale Whisperers.
Thank you, Dylan. Have a nice evening.
You too. Ciao. Bye.
Ciao.